If you're a hot hatch fan, life would be pretty swell right about now. There is a smorgasbord of fast yet affordable options that cater to every level of enthusiasts. But every now and then something comes along and rocks the establishment.
So is this the vehicle that breaks that mould once again? Well, after a huge build-up, the third generation Ford Focus RS has landed here in Europe ahead of its Australian debut mid-year. Now we already know this thing has loads of performance, more than any other RS model before it, and all-wheel drive traction. There's just one question mark left, and that's how it drives.
Following a long line of RS or rally sport vehicles dating back to 1968, the latest Ford model adheres to a couple of basic hot hatch principles. It has 5 doors and is readily accessible, priced at $50,990 in Australia. Ford said it had the option of front-wheel drive with the RS, but instead went to town with a fully adaptive all-wheel drive system complemented by 4 different driving modes, including a unique drift mode, but will save the best for last.
It also promises to be fast. Fitted with a 2.3 litre turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, this thing sends drive to all 4 wheels via a 6-speed manual transmission only. Now the engine kicks out 257 kilowatts of power and 440 newton meters of torque, 470 if you include an overboost function. We already know that it will get to 0 to 100 in just 4.7 seconds and onwards to a top speed of 266 kilometers an hour. The big question is, how is that out on the road? I've got some absolutely fantastic roads behind me, so I'm going to shut up with the information and go for a drive. First things first though, the RS really nails the basics out on the road. The steering is accurate and pin sharp. Remember, this thing is mildly based on the Focus ST, but it ditches that car's variable ratio steering for a fixed rate setup. It feels sharper through corners, and there's more feedback coming through the wheel. There's more to come also. The all-wheel drive system is an absolute revelation. Never before have I been in a car that feels so smooth through corners. I mean, watch this. I tip in, it transfers its weight to the outside wheels, and then you can actually actively feel the torque vectoring technology make tiny little adjustments so you can just slingshot out of corners. It's like the cheat's way to becoming a professional rally driver.
Those attributes are complemented by the engine, which is smooth and refined in daily conveyance, reaching peak torque from only 2,000 RPM. 2-stage adaptive dampers provide a sporty yet compliant ride that feels controlled over bumps. If you wanted to be picky, the RS's cabin is a little nondescript for this price point. The styling is a little bland, with the exception of big Recaro bucket seats, and the boot is smaller than the regular Focus due to the fitment of a unique subframe and rear differential. But those setbacks are soon out of mind as we hit the racetrack.
The steering in this track mode is just so good. You've got so much feedback coming through the wheel, but yet it's not nervous at high speeds. It's a car that you just gel with. You feel connected to the road, and that's what open wheel race cars feel like, not hot hatches. This thing really shifts the hot hatch into a new paradigm. But the 4-piston Brembo brakes up front do a really good job of stopping this car. And the amazing thing about them is that Ford claims you'll get 30 minutes of non-stop track usage without any fade. That's really impressive. And that's certainly been the case in today's driving. There's been no fade. The modulation through the pedal is really consistent. I mean, look at this. I'm just absolutely ragging this thing around the track, and it just puts up with it. I've never seen anything like it in a hot hatch. Even the finest European hot hatches have some degree of fade, but I'm trying to give this thing as much as I can. It just keeps coming back for more. In terms of power, no, it's not quite as scintillating as the A45, but you know what? The feeling of driving something so hard and getting such positive feedback, I think it makes up for that completely. It doesn't need any more power, it's got everything you'd want.
Yes, that may sound like a big claim, but the RS really does have the goods to shade European equivalents like the Mercedes-AMG A45 and Audi's RS3, even if the engine lacks the same firepower in a straight line. Driving fast on a racetrack is one thing, but the big party trick of the RS is its new drift mode, and we didn't miss an opportunity to put it to the test, both on the skid pan and the track. So is it easy to drift? In a word, yes. Just switch drive mode to drift, apply some steering lock and bury the accelerator.
Look at that.
Yeah.
The Focus RS arrives in Australian showrooms mid-year. Initial feedback suggests it will go straight to the top of the hot hatch segment. It is fun, fast and most of all affordable. Everything a hot hatch should be and more.